all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name, for the Lord is good, and his love and devotion endures forever. His faithfulness continues to all generations. For joy, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before him singing with a grateful heart. Know that he made us, we are his own. Enter his gates with thanks, walk in with praise. Enter his courts with joy, call on his name. Shout for joy, shout for joy. The Lord is good, his love endures. Shout for joy, shout for joy. His faithfulness through every door. And keeps us. We are the sheep in the field of his care. Give thanks to him, bless his holy name. Enter his gates with thanks, walk in with praise. Enter his courts with joy, call on his name. Shout for joy, shout for joy.
Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. It's Monday morning. This is our Monday morning meetup. I appreciate you tapping in, jumping in to the best live chat on the internet and the most electrifying comment section on the planet. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you had a beautiful Lord's Day on yesterday. Today it started out pretty busy over here at Whitaker Park. We're on the final stretch of a summer. Chief Executive Secondborn goes back to school tomorrow. President Firstborn goes back next Wednesday. We got a lot going on over here, so we got a lot happening. So I thought I was going to actually have to do the show later today, but lo and behold, our activities that we have to do today kind of got pushed back. So I said, let me jump in real quick because I got two really good videos I want to go over with y'all and help you for the week, kind of find out what we're going to be talking about during the week, and we'll go from there. So shout out to you all. Jump into the best live chat. I appreciate you. Good to see you, Rosie. Thank you so much. There he is. Present, not perfect. Is right there in the building. And we got the global tyranny up in the building. Good morning, Wit. Good morning, chat. Getting ready for the J-O-B. Shout out to you. Absolutely. And cannot forget my sister from another. What's going on? A Biblical Worldview. Thank you so much for stopping by, each and every one of y'all. I appreciate you. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today. I got two videos. One has been circulating around the interweb streets, the social media suburbs. A lot of you all have seen it, and it's Lauren the Mortician. I want to talk about that because I think Lauren does a fantastic job of explaining things from the service end of death care. They call it death care. And a lot of stuff we just don't know. A lot of it we don't know. And I think it's fair to say, like, hey, I don't know everything about death care. I think that's fair to say. I'm willing to admit that I don't know everything about death care. Whereas we're going to be looking at Baron Coleman, who doesn't have that level of humility. He's going to literally make, he's crafted this narrative that Charlie Kirk's, from the moment he was declared dead until he was flown out, the timeline doesn't work according to his narrative. And sad to say, nobody cares what you think, Baron. So we're going to look at Lauren the Mortician is going to break that apart. But then also we have another young lady help me solve the case. She's going to look at all of the evidence from the Tyler Robinson preliminary trial. It is a little bit lengthy, but it's extremely helpful. Both of the videos are linked already down in the description of this video. So if you don't catch this or you catch it later, definitely go check them out. Or if you don't want to hear me talking about it, either way, I appreciate you. What's going on up in there? How are you, the honey and bunny empress? Thank you so much for stopping by today. Nobody cares what Baron thinks, but the bad thing is Baron, and I think his name is like literally ironic because he's barren of truth. He's barren of honesty. He's barren of actually wanting to be a fair dealer. He's barren of all of that. So I think it is ironic that his name is Baron. Now, granted, I know the proper spelling of his name, but I think he's barren of it. I mean, his name, he should have Ichabod over the top of his live stream. Because, I mean, there's no fruit of the spirit, no evidence that you are humble at all. So I want to bring this in and let you see what you think. Oh, they will. Absolutely. Barren of a soul. Absolutely. He's barren of the evidence of the regeneration. I said that. I will stand on that. My name is Jason. All right, let's go ahead and bring Lauren the Mortician up in the building. She says a lot. And by the way, I really want you to go by, check out the video. The link is down in the description. Please go support her. She's an excellent source. If you're just interested in the morbid, I mean, she treats it like I would expect a mortician of her age to treat it. She's not, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's somebody's passed on. But she's not disrespectful, so I do want to give her that credit. I want to give her credit for that. She's not a disrespectful mortician by any means. Anyway, let me go ahead and drop this in here. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
Okay. Hello, fellow mortals. If you're new here, hey, my name is Lauren the Mortician. Yes, a real mortician. And one thing I've learned is that whenever someone famous dies, there's always a lot of speculation about what happened. And I'm not gonna lie, I watch that content too. I like hearing different opinions. I don't like living in an echo chamber. And sometimes people ask really good questions or have really good theories. But every single time one of these cases goes viral, I'm reminded of just how much the general public doesn't know about death care. And that's not anybody's fault. Most people have never been inside of a funeral home, medical examiner's office, and have no idea what happens behind the scenes after someone dies. We've talked about Charlie Kirk quite a bit on this channel, not because I'm trying to cover every update in the case, but because it's created so many opportunities to educate people about what actually happens after death. That, and I love debunking stuff. It's my life's purpose. Now that Tyler Robinson's trial is getting closer, another wave of Charlie Kirk content is making the rounds. I came across a video by Baron Coleman, and I actually
I hate to say it that she like kind of giddies up on Baron. Baron Coleman is just a disaster.
think he brings up some interesting questions. His biggest point is that Charlie Kirk's timeline, from his death to the medical examiner's trip to the funeral home to being prepared for a public viewing, seems incredibly short. And honestly, if you've never worked in funeral service, I can absolutely understand why that would raise some eyebrows. So today we're going to do something I've done a few times before, but right now I'm going to be going back and forth with my computer, like hit go, hit play, go.
Press
We're
the
going to
bar.
watch parts of Baron's video together. I'll let him explain what he's seeing, and then I'm going to pause it and tell you what I know from actually working in funeral service my entire life. Now, some of his questions have straightforward answers. Some of them have answers that depend on the circumstances, and some of them are just really good observations that deserve a little bit more context. This isn't about proving anybody wrong. Please do not go and give Baron any hate. If anything, go check out his channel. He does have some interesting videos. This is just about explaining
retarded
what
videos.
happens behind the scenes so you can better understand whether this timeline is unusual or if it actually makes sense. And as per usual, cue the intro, Hannah. Wow,
Sorry.
wow, 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 I'm like really up in your face. I have to be up in your face though, because we're going to watch some stuff together. So hold on.
Charlie's
Okay, so Lauren is going to go through Baron Coleman's recent video talking about the timeline that is too short, right? And she's just going to debunk it. It's a lot of press the bar. So if you're familiar with just press the bar, I'm not going to stop a lot because she's doing a great job. So I don't want to ruin it at all. So thank you to everybody who's hopped in. Please make sure that you hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. Say what's up to your people and check this out. The link to this video and the video we're going to watch later are both down in the description. Let's get going.
body. I mean, I hate to be so crass, but it's what it is. I have footage here of when Charlie was leaving Timpanogos Hospital in Orem, Utah, around 8 o'clock at night. This is Charlie's body leaving the hospital. That's Timpanogos Regional Hospital. There goes the first police car. You can see all these cars pulling out, and they're headed to the medical examiner's office, to Salt Lake City. That's about a 45-minute drive, maybe an hour. That puts him there no earlier, really, than 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock's their starting time. Well, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock they left the hospital. 9 o'clock they're at the medical examiner's office.
And once you get there, you got to get them out of the car. You got to get them into the medical examiner's office. You got to get them prepped.
Okay, I've done this job so long that I just don't realize that people don't know how long things take. Getting to the medical examiner's office, the hardest part is the drive. When you get there, you have to open the back hatch on your minivan, wheel the cot out of the van. You roll them into a receiving area where the autopsy table is waiting. You wheel them in, you open your cot bag. There's like a zipper and a little protective pouch. And then you grab the body bag that they're sealed inside of, grab from the head, grab from the middle, and pull. You write their name on the bag, you document how much they weigh, there's a scale under them, and then you sign them into, it's like a registrar book. Their name, date of death, who you are, logging them in. That might take 5-10 minutes, not long at all. We don't get them prepped for autopsy, but sometimes they're waiting.
Most of the time, I looked at the policies in Utah. They do not do medical examinations outside of business hours or weekends.
So this job is not a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type of job.
If he leaves Wednesday night at 8 p.m. in Timpanogos and Orem and he doesn't
See, this is the part where the reason I say that Baron Coleman is an idiot is you're crafting a story based upon what you're looking up online. And we all have done it, so nobody's innocent. But this one right here is really egregious because you're crafting a story that fits your insincere questions and your insincere narrative. That's why I say that he's not a fair dealer. If you were just saying, hey, I looked up how long it takes to fix an alternator in a 2012 Honda Odyssey and it should take this amount of time. Well, yeah, you might be able to go to the mechanic and say, hey, it should take 2 hours to repair it. I mean, that would be a reasonable bit. But to say that, hey, well, I know how long it takes to build a 2012 Honda Odyssey because I looked up, how long it takes to get this shipment into this. You would be a fool to do that. And that's what I'm saying. Baron Coleman is literally trying to craft the entire narrative based upon looking up regulations and so on and so forth. And I know for a fact that morticians and undertakers do work after hours. So what Lauren is saying is right on the money. But let's go.
Arrive in Salt Lake City till 9. That's outside of business hours.
Doesn't matter.
Let's just say they decided to do a middle of the night examination.
They definitely did. Absolutely. 100%. This timeline doesn't make sense if they didn't. So I absolutely believe that they did.
How long does the examination last? Best guess I can get on a typical gunshot, 2 to 4 hours from start to finish. That's the examination. That's not prepping the body back.
I'd say that's a pretty good guesstimate, but I feel like 4 hours is a little long. So where our medical examiner's office is, I would have to drive an hour and a half to bring the body into the office. I typically would like to leave there with them the same day if I can, as long as the family has authorized. I can pick them up and bring them back to the funeral home with me. So I have dropped off a body and then sat there and waited. And I might wait an hour and a half, and they're done. And I'm out of there. So if they can get them in right away, they can get them out right away. 4 hours sounds kind of long. I would guess maybe closer to 2.
But there's also shout out to Y2K Survivor. Shout out to you. I like that name. Yes, not only is he a high profile person, but in a moment we're going to hear there's a lot of high profile people that are encouraging this to get done. So this was going to get done overnight, no matter what. I mean, come on, let's stop playing the game. So again, this is the part where I'm saying like Baron Coleman shows and demonstrates his lack of understanding and is positioning himself as an expert to his audience. And now they are running with this narrative that he's put in their minds, and they really truly don't have the true information. Continue. I bet you'll find them arguing with Lauren. You'll probably hear him arguing with her.
Then you got to put things back together and then.
Okay, put things back together. He's talking about putting the body back together. The medical examiner's office does not put the body back together. That is the mortician, funeral director, embalmer's job. All they do is place the organs inside of a red viscera bag. They place that back into the abdomen when they're done measuring and taking samples or documenting. And then they take the body and just kind of place it back together and maybe do a loose stitch all the way down. Then they pull the person over into the body bag and close the body bag. If they do a full cranial exam, they just put the skull cap kind of like back. They don't close everything up because they don't know if that person's going to be cremated. They don't know if they're going to be buried. They don't know if there's a donation team that's going to come in after the fact. They're just there doing their job, and it's not necessarily their job to put the body back together. That's my job, the mortician at the funeral home.
Then he would be ready to go. Typically, bodies aren't released immediately after the examination.
They can be. And from the sounds of this case, he absolutely was.
They're put back in the morgue at the medical examiner's office where they stay for another 24 to 48 hours.
The only reason they would stay 24 to 48 hours, that's when they're trying to get the authorization from the family to say, hey, we selected so-and-so funeral home. They can immediately be released to the funeral home. Bada bing, bada boom.
While the paperwork process is in the release. But when you have the Vice President of the United States on his way in, you get treated differently. Might get a middle of the night medical examination. You might get released the same day.
So he brought up the questions and then brought us right to the answer. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
And we know that he was released before 5:04 a.m. because at 5:04 a.m., we have a newscast that had somebody positioned outside the medical examiner's office. We assume they didn't arrive exactly at 5:04 and immediately go on air.
So I'm waiting for him to show footage of the funeral director leaving the medical examiner's office, but I don't think he has it. So he's trying to say that the body wasn't picked up. Let me see if there's more.
At 5:04 a.m., they had people on site. Another reporter was sitting outside at 10 a.m. These people stayed here from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
That's because his body was probably picked up right after the autopsy, which was more than likely after midnight, definitely before 5 a.m. A lot happens when somebody calls to report a death to the funeral home. And if they have a plan, and especially, again, high profile case, there's already plans being made. So when they call the funeral home and say, hey, this is the plan, you as the embalmer, you as the mortician, you're already coming up with a timeline in your head. Oh, they need him shipped shipped out immediately, we need to go to the medical examiner's office now. The medical examiner will call you, say, hey, he's been released. You can come now. They'll have an attendant there. Or if it's a smaller office, you can call and let them know you're coming and they can meet you there. So there's definitely ways to pick up people from the medical examiner's office if they're closed, especially on high profile cases. I wish there was an abbreviation for high profile case because I feel like I'm going to say that a lot, but that is what this is.
They saw nothing.
They saw nothing because they did it in the middle of the night. Because again, we are not a Monday through Friday 9 to 5. There was an embalmer on the phone knowing that they had a autopsy body that they needed embalmed stat. So they picked him up right away.
Which
Yeah, see, that's the part. Like, you're just assuming that these people are, again, I know for a fact that morticians work and undertakers work 24 hours. Like, if they need to, they're going to be there cremating at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be embalming, the same thing. Like, again, Barron is either A, he's willfully ignorant, or he's just gleefully ignorant and just trying to, or even deceptively ignorant and lying to his audience. But one of those things is true. And so shout out for sure. Okay.
means if the 5 a.m. crew didn't see him and they were there for 4 hours, and these guys didn't see him and they were there all day, he had to be gone before 5 a.m.
Is that surprising to people? We're like the midnight barber. I would rather go out when there's no traffic, knowing that I need to get that embalming done as soon as possible. And it needs to be a strong embalming too, because they're going to be shipping them out. As soon as that body's been released, I'm there picking him up immediately.
For a complete medical examination to take place between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., that's only 8 hours.
I don't know what else to tell you. That's very doable.
You've got to get the body in. You got to get it prepped for the examination.
See,
you have to
this
do
is
the
a-
examination.
And see, this is something that you and I probably would not understand either. We would probably think that it's a long process in preparing the body, but it's really not. According to Lauren and other sources, it's not a long process. So for them to, and went later on when he's trying to explain the funeral home, and again, it doesn't happen like that. So shout out to Lauren for sure. Right. Decay and decomposition don't wait for office hours. We only decay from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Like he literally said Monday through Friday, like they don't work on Sundays. Like that's crazy work.
It's not like a 1-minute deal. Then you got to put everything back together, move the body back to the parking lot. You got to get them loaded up. You got to drive away. All that had.
You're bringing up a lot of things, Barron, that don't take a lot of time. All those
Right.
extra things, the cleaning up, that would take place at the funeral home. Loading him up only takes a couple of minutes and he would be out of there. And I would be speeding, driving on 2 wheels, getting back to the funeral home so I can begin the embalming.
All that had to be done by like 4:30. When was there time to do an accurate medical examination? What happened?
2 to 4 hours is the perfect amount of time to do a medical examination. I mean, that's what you said, right? I've seen him do it in an hour. So yeah.
You know, there were rumors earlier.
So there's actually, this is part of, and I know I told you I wasn't going to talk a whole lot. I'm going to try my best not to, but there's this whole thing that not enough investigation happened. That's why Cantifa loses their mind about whether or not UVU cemented over the plaza, or here they didn't take enough time. They want you to take a lot of time to do something. For what reason? These are professionals. Lauren is a professional. If she says it takes 2 to 4 hours, I got to step back and say it takes 2 to 4 hours. Why would what do I want her to do? Take 10 hours for what? What do you want her to take 10 hours for? She already done. The body's decomping now. What are we doing? She's done her job. Why do you want it to be something different? That's the thing that just doesn't make sense to me. And I see it a lot. So a lot of these people keep making a lot of hay about, well, it went too fast. Speedy trial. I hear a lot of people talking about speedy trial. You mean to tell me you don't think Tyler Robinson's attorneys are working 24/7? What, a speedy trial? They should be ready right now. In any other case, what are we doing? These are the professionals. This is their job. We are the armchair quarterbacks. Sit back and be quiet. Let's go.
On that there was no autopsy done.
So that was debunked really early on. The medical examiner's office there, they don't know who, but I have a contact at the office. They were very kind and told me that the autopsy was done. I was able to verify their credentials. So I know in my heart of hearts that he did have an autopsy done, but also it's standard practice with a murder investigation, homicide, self-unaliving. If there's an investigation, they're going to have an autopsy. There was rumors going around that he didn't because some sort of officer was like, he didn't get sent down for the the autopsy, but he did. I don't know why that got leaked.
Nevertheless, I will accept on its face that it happened.
Again, I just want to say it definitely happened. Just to recap, his body left the hospital at 8 o'clock, arrived at the medical examiner's office about 9 o'clock. Best educated guess is the autopsy happened right away. And then after midnight, he was picked up by the funeral home, embalmed immediately. And now we are on to the next day. He's thinking that they left the hotel around noonish.
We have a picture of Erica Kirk draped over the casket. We were initially told this picture was taken at a different funeral home. This picture was not released until after Erica gave her speech on September 12th. So there was really no idea where the picture was taken. He left the medical examiner's office and went to a funeral home, but we didn't know which one. Then we know he went to Air Force Two and went back to Arizona to a different funeral home.
He's talking about the fact that one funeral home picked up his body, did the preparation work. They had the viewing at that funeral home, and then a secondary funeral home received him into their care. Very common for funeral homes to work together. Very common for Erica Kirk to call the funeral home she actually wanted to use in Arizona. The Arizona funeral home is going to then get into contact with the Utah one and say, hey, we have Charlie Kirk at the medical examiner's office. I need help. Would you be able to go over there, pick up his body, embalm him for me, make sure that you make it a little extra strong of a solution, hit him hard because we need you to then fly him out the next day. And actually, by the way, no big deal. The vice president's going to be there on Air Force Two. Totally
No
doable.
stress.
That's why we have answering services that answer our phone calls 24/7. There are still some funeral homes that answer their own phone calls still. Shout out ASD.
We were able to look at the interior of the funeral home where it pulled into and realize that's not the same funeral home where the picture took place. So those pictures weren't in Arizona. They couldn't have been.
It's very common for families to come have an open casket gathering to say goodbye, to really spend time with their person. No matter how long or short that time is, then we close the casket, we go to the airport. It just depends on what the family wants or needs. And if they wanted that time with their loved one, then the funeral home will accommodate to make that happen before we bring them to the airport.
We dug around all of the funeral homes in the area. Luckily for us, they have different furniture, different carpet, different trimmings on the wall.
I love the dedication. I love it.
And we were finally able to figure out which room this picture was taken in. It's this room here.
It's a really nice funeral home.
And we know because there's paneling on the wall consistent with what we saw. We saw these lamps and we saw this carpet. The carpet reminds me of the girl's dress. You couldn't tell if it was white or blue.
Just be glad it's updated carpet, because most funeral homes, the carpet is like the last damn thing that they update. That's pretty nice carpet.
And by finding
Okay, I'm sorry. The fact that Baron Coleman is excited over the fact that he thinks he found the room that the viewing of the body happened in is diabolical work. Like, for real, sir? Like, for real? Like, really? That's really what you're hanging your hat on? Because then in a moment, he's going to talk about how long it took to get from this room down the hallway. He's like, as if he measured it. It's crazy work. I'm like, dude, for real? Like, for real? But either A, the people did what they said they did, or they didn't. If you're saying that they did, then all of this other malarkey about, we found the room, look at the paneling. In a minute, he's going to literally talk about how long it takes to walk down the hallway. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. That's such, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Coleman is, yeah, he's creepy as all get out, man. The dude, that's just creep. That's just creep work. I don't know. You're not gonna beat those charges. Let's go.
the room, we're able to map out how long it would take to get from the medical examiner's office to that funeral home.
How long?
More importantly, we're able to find out how long it would take to get from that funeral home back to the airport.
This is dedication.
Here is the picture, just in case you don't believe me.
Well, nobody
believe
This
cares.
was the same funeral home. Tell me this is not the same place. If the earliest arrival time, we'll call it 1:30. Do you know what time Air Force Two landed at Salt Lake City? 2:24. It's an hour away. So if you get to the funeral home at 1:30 and the Vice President of the United States lands an hour away,
You're guessing that they got there at 1:30. I'm going to guess they got there at 1 o'clock, 12:30, definitely sooner.
you would have to leave almost immediately.
At the funeral home, we plan for things very strategically. We're already going to have the time plan that we need to leave for the airport, and we want to make sure that we give the family at minimum an hour. Do with that what you will.
They got there, we're guessing, around 3:30 based
You're
on
guessing.
the pictures and everything else we're able to find. Here's a picture of Charlie Kirk and a hearse arriving at the Salt Lake City airport where Air Force Two was. And we know now that it's the right funeral home. After the photo op, you've got to close the casket. You've got to get it ready to move.
So the casket was already on wheels in the chapel when she's sitting up next to it. That's called a church truck. It's a movable little cart. We set the casket on it. We center the casket on it, and it moves around the chapel. He's already in the casket. He's ready to go. He is ready for transport. Closing the casket would take all of a minute.
You've got to bring in the little wheelie thing. You got to
Already on the wheelie thing.
You got to wheel them through the funeral home. You got to
Another minute.
wheel them through the garage. You got to load them up into the car. You got to lock the casket in place. You got to shut the doors.
Again, I think all of that would take tops 10 minutes. Like when we're ready to go, we're ready to go. Family's not going to mess around. Follow me. We're on our way to the airport.
Let me also jump in here. If you've ever done a military funeral, had a loved one or been a part of a military funeral where they're going to be interned at a military cemetery, you know what she's about to say right here is the gospel truth. My grandfather-in-law passed away last year. Great man, wonderful guy. I'm getting broken up a little bit thinking about it. However, when he passed away, the funeral, don't quote me on this, the funeral was over at like 12:30, right? And I told y'all I hate being places late. So I'm already like, okay, we're going to the cemetery, right? I'm over here antsy, 12:45. I'm getting on people's nerve by 1 o'clock. We could not leave the church until 2:15. Your boy was crawling up the walls. I was like, we gotta go. Because I'm thinking again how we have to be on time. But no, you cannot get to a military cemetery 5 seconds early. You cannot. Like, you cannot get there early. You have to get there. If they say you cannot be there until 12:30 or 2:30, you cannot be there at 2:15, Jason. You better not show up there at 2 o'clock because you're going to be standing outside. They will not let you on the property. And they did not. So long story short, when Granddaddy passed away, we what she's about to say is true because I saw it happen. You got the police escort, you blowing stoplights, all that kind of stuff like that. And guess what? They open those gates up to the cemetery, you roll right in. They will not open those gates up beforehand. So everything she's saying right here, I agree with 100%. Because I saw it in real time.
It's not like you run in, do a photo op for 3 minutes, and then like immediately, all right, let's pack it up. Let's go. We did our photo op. Get out.
I think they could have done all that in 15 minutes because they knew that they'd get to see him again. It's not like that was the final goodbye. They had their own private burial. So this was more of a let's spend a little bit of time with him before we fly him off and then drive all together to the airport. I've done airport pickups and drop-offs for active duty military that have died, and you all drive together to the airport. You stay in a line because you're meeting somebody at the airport and they're bringing you onto the tarmac. That's a process. That's a big process. So you need to arrive together in as few vehicles as possible. You all want to ride together, maybe have a limo where everybody can ride in one vehicle, just so that we don't get separated and then we don't take up the whole tarmac with like 50 different vehicles. So we're all going to drive together. We're all going to arrive together, and they're going to direct us to the place that we need to go with the body so that we can be a part of the process of them unloading the casket and then us loading it onto the plane or deplaning. Both of the ones that I have been on the tarmac, they had died active duty and then were flown to me. So I met with the family ahead of time. We went to tarmac and we waited while they unloaded, and then we placed them in the hearse and we started heading back home to hometown.
Earliest they could have possibly arrived was around 1:30, and then they would have had to leave by 2:30 in order to get to the airport on time. And it's not like it takes 1 minute to pack up the body and get it into the hearse.
I think I would need 2 minutes.
How long could she possibly have been there?
Normally, if you're the funeral director and you're calling the family and they know that there's a time crunch, you set that expectation immediately and you tell them, this is how much time we have at the funeral home. We only have 30 minutes and then we need to be on the road. They want to be on time too. They don't want to be behind schedule, especially if you have Air Force Two waiting on you, that rhymed, at the airport. So families are very understanding and very flexible, knowing that we have a timeline.
It's interesting because
let me say, I agree with everything Lauren said, except I didn't get the privilege of the Air Force Two kind of situation in the tarmac. So, everything else she said, I agree with. I could amen, but I didn't get, Daddy didn't get the Air Force Two kind of situation. So shout out to that for sure.
He was in a suit. And we know that he didn't take a suit to Utah. He was never seen in a suit. Why would he take a suit unless he was planning to have a funeral? Notice they don't live there. So it's not like someone ran home and grabbed one for him real fast. If you look at the picture and you look at the video, that's not a new suit. They didn't go buy a suit. And it's certainly not a new tie, nor is it a tie, frankly, I think Charlie would wear.
Okay. I don't know really any. I want to input on this because families will absolutely buy new suits.
Yeah.
He's trying to say that it's a suit that Charlie already owned. And I think the only person that really knows that would be Erica or the family. Again, I think we're downplaying how quickly someone could get into town. They could have had an assistant that flew with the suit overnight. They could have had someone immediately get in the car and start driving. I really don't know. I do think it would be doable, even if they showed up, and I'm being for real, with the suit at noon. I could still have him dressed and casketed if they were going to be there at 1:30. And maybe that's why I've talked about the cosmetics on Charlie's hands and how they're really orange. Maybe that's why his cosmetics were so not that great. Why his hands looked so orange is because it was a rush job. They rushed the cosmetics. Definitely could have been totally doable. You would not put makeup on his hands until after he was in the suit. So that would actually explain maybe a little bit more on why I didn't like his hands, because they didn't spend a whole lot of time on him. They just very quickly dust, paint, wanted to make him look as lifelike as possible, even though he's very dead. Okay, so let's talk about what I think the timeline probably looked like, because I noticed something nobody was really talking about. Like, this guy didn't bring up the embalming. I was waiting for it. I was like chomping at the bit. He didn't bring it up, unless he did, and I missed it, but it was 3 hours.
Well, see, the thing is, Baron Coleman is an idiot and he doesn't know anything about embalming. So he's just literally idiot maxing right off of Wikipedia, like how to be an undertaker, Undertakers Are Us or something. And, morticians.com. That's all he's looking at. He didn't talk to a real medical examiner, a real mortician, sit down and talk to a real undertaker. I mean, for crying out loud, man. If you go knock on the door at any funeral, any cemetery, I guarantee they'll probably talk to you. They're going to sell you a plot, but they'll talk to you. And you might want to get a plot. It might be actually something intelligent to do. But I think you get the point. Like, just the idea that it wasn't a new suit. It wasn't a suit that I think Charlie would wear the tie. How stupid is that? That's some grade A retardedness, man. That is. I'm sorry. Based upon information and belief, Baron Coleman is an idiot, and he's idiot maxing. He's trying to get as much idiocy out into the world as possible. Like, really? That's just dumb. Okay, let's go. Shout out to Lauren.
Hours long. We know Charlie Kirk was picked up from the medical examiner's office before 4 a.m. because news crews capture that. We've got that established. So let's say, worst case scenario, embalming didn't even begin until, 4 in the morning. Let's say 4. I think it was sooner, but let's say 4. Could a funeral home perform a thorough post-autopsy embalming, prepare him for a private family viewing, and have him ready later that day? Absolutely, 100%. Would it have made for a very busy day at the funeral home? Absolutely.
Let me also just add, because there's something that I love Lauren. I want to wrap my arms around Lauren. I think she's a great person. It's Charlie Kirk. I mean, come on. We are talking about, they're going to probably move heaven and earth to do this in a day. It doesn't matter. It is Charlie Kirk, for crying out loud. Now, for you and me, we're going to be on this slab for about 3 days, right? We're not going to get this treatment. We're not going to get this special treatment. But no, it's Charlie Kirk. Yes, they're going to come in early. They're going to come in and work overnight. They're going to have more morticians than normal. They're going to do everything to get this done and get it done right. Absolutely. You're almost forgetting, like, Baron Coleman just kind of overlooks that. Like, we're not talking about the milkman that got hit by a doggone, he got hit by a mail truck. We're talking about Charlie Kirk, for crying out loud. Like, he's going to get special treatment. Period. End of sentence. That's it. Let's go.
Think that they were still embalming him when the family came in to make arrangements that morning and pick out the casket. Yes, I think that's a very real possibility. But looking at it through funeral service eyes, nothing about this timeline made me go, wait a second, that's impossible. Quite the opposite. Now, embalming isn't a one-size-fits-all. It depends on a lot of things. Was it a full autopsy? Was it just a cranial exam? What condition was the body in? Every case is different. Because this appears to have been an active investigation, I'm assuming it was a full autopsy. And when we're embalming someone after a full autopsy, we're not just embalming one body, one unit. Every limb has to be embalmed individually. The head is embalmed separately. The organs, which are placed in that red viscera bag during the autopsy also have to be chemically preserved before they're returned to the body. We're trying to get as much drainage as we can while injecting each limb, each arm, each leg, everything. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It would take hours. Personally, I think the embalming was probably the longest part of this entire process. If I had to guess where the bulk of the day was spent, it was right there in the prep room. Once the embalming was complete, he would have been dressed, placed in the casket, and prepared for a private family viewing. I could have had him dressed and casketed and starting the cosmetics within an hour. There are several different ways that day could have unfolded, but every version of that timeline is completely reasonable from a funeral service standpoint. One question I kept seeing, how do you know Charlie Kirk was embalmed? I want to talk about this because there is absolutely a 0% chance I would have a family come in and view an autopsied body that had not been embalmed. No. And with her videos and photos that she took with
and maybe we need to find out. I don't know what would happen if you didn't embalm a body. I don't know that question. I'm really just asking. Like, what do you mean? Because she sounds like that would be the worst thing in the world. Like, what would happen if you what happens? Like, matter of fact, we might need to go back to zero. What is embalming? We might need to turn this into like a little, like now we're like pre-K morticians. What is embalming? What does it do? What's the difference between an embalmed body and a non-embalmed body? Like, maybe we need to have that conversation. But again, Lauren is super smart and oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. That makes perfect sense. That makes 1,000. Thank you, Mindy Ann. Thank you. You get a gold star. You go to the front of the mortician pre-K class. That makes perfect sense. But maybe we have to look into that because it's kind of interesting. And I'm like, besides odor, yeah, you're right. I got you now. Okay, yeah. Okay, y'all see, that's why this is the best live chat on the internet. That's why. Shout out to y'all. Let's go.
his body, no, he would 100% have to be embalmed. After an autopsy, the body has been opened. Why incision? Medical procedure. The organs have been removed, examined. Everything has to be reconstructed, preserved, and cared for before that family walks through the door. And here's the other thing people don't always think about because they don't live in a funeral home. An autopsy speeds up the changes that naturally happen after death. That's nobody's fault. It's just biology. So if my goal as a funeral director is to give a family the very best possible viewing, I'm embalming as soon as I reasonably can. The minute that embalming was done for Charlie Kirk at the medical examiner's office, and I've got the family's okay, I would have been there. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I would have been there and immediately been going back to the funeral home to embalm. Not because we're trying to rush anybody, but because we are trying to slow nature down, get the embalming done as quickly as we can, and give that family as much time with their loved one as possible. Literally our job. Another thing people kept asking about was his hands. Everybody talks about his hands. I'm going to put the little comment like here. I don't know. Here. I swear you guys notice everything. Carpet color, hand placement.
Let me back up. Let me see what the comment said.
Was his hands. Everybody talks about his hands. I'm going to put the little comment like here. I don't know.
Girl, we need you in this so much. Have you seen Baron Coleman's podcast where he breaks down there would not have been time for Charlie Kirk to have had proper autopsy with the schedule they had, and others have pointed out that Erica was draped over the casket and Charlie's hands looked like he had been embalmed, that there also wasn't enough time for him to have been embalmed at the point with everything else that had happened, that had to happen. I don't know what to believe. You are the expert, absolutely begging for a follow-up on this one. Okay, that's a reasonable, that's a humble ask. I hate that you're using Baron Coleman because of it, because I think Baron Coleman's a retard, but okay, I disagree. Let's go.
I swear you guys notice everything. Carpet color, hand placement, nothing gets past the internet. But honestly, nothing about the hands stood out to me other than they were cosmetized poorly. I want to pop up one more comment on the screen here that I saw. I got messages about his hand placement.
Have you seen the video of Erica Kirk at Charlie Kirk's service where she is leaning into the casket? The question is, does Charlie's body position look okay to you? I haven't been to a lot of funerals, but the few I've been to, I recall the hands were placed left over right. Oh my gosh, man, come on. Have you not seen those crazy funerals that funeral home in um, Missouri, I think it is, that will do whatever. I mean, your body, they'll put you on a bicycle, they sit you up in a car, they got the person look like they're playing a video game. It is the craziest thing. Girl, are you really? See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the part where people, there's no level, Michael Elliott, there's no amount of humility there. Like, really, it's suspect because the two funerals you went to, they laid the hands right over left. But I mean, come on, man. That's just stupid. I hate that Lauren even had to answer that question.
Placement, how Charlie Kirk's hands were placed in the casket. Because typically we're used to going to an open casket and seeing the hands one over the other, kind of like they're here, not here. Down.
Right.
I
I've
know you
seen
can't
like
see
that.
that, but
I've
I'm
seen
like
like
down,
this.
like right above my belly button or at the belly button. There isn't a funeral director rule book that says every person has to have their hands folded exactly one way. More commonly, we'll place one hand gently over the other. Sometimes, especially if someone has broader shoulders, a larger frame, maybe they're heavier set, their hands rest a little farther apart because, well, that's just what looks the most natural. We want them to look comfortable. I don't want you to look like you're trying to fit in an itty bitty casket. I want you to look comfy. I don't want it to look like I'm posing an action figure. So by having Charlie Kirk's hands down and not one over the other, the question is why? Could it have simply been the embalmer's preference? I think so. Absolutely. I also noticed he wasn't wearing a wedding ring. A lot of funeral directors will intentionally leave the left hand visible over the right. So if somebody wears a wedding
didn't see
ring,
that.
families often notice that. They notice those little details. Without one, there's a little bit more flexibility in how you position the hands. So if you're looking at his hands, still trying to run with that mannequin theory, and you're thinking, oh, that's weird, why are his hands down here? To me, that looked like a completely normal casket presentation. Well, I finished filming this stitch, and now it looks like I might have to make another one because Candace Owens has entered the chat again. So stay tuned for that one. And if you enjoyed this video where I stitch
the
another
Lord, take the
creator
wheel,
and
Jesus.
explain the funeral
Take the
service
wheel,
side of
Jesus.
things,
Please
let me
take the
know
wheel.
down in the comments. I've stitched videos before, but this is the first time I've really done it with another YouTube to YouTube creator. And I do want to thank the original creator for starting the conversation. Again, no hate whatsoever. He seems like
I
a really
got it.
nice guy. I feel
He's
like
a
we'd have
retard.
some really interesting conversations. And he
He's a
brought up
dummy.
questions that a lot of people were already wondering about. I just happen to have a perspective that comes from working in funeral service, and I hope it helps explain why some of these things aren't as unusual as they first might seem. At the end of the day, you're allowed to believe whatever you want. Isn't that great? My job isn't to tell you what to think. My job is to explain how funeral service works because most people never get to see the behind the scenes, behind the curtain, until it's their family member. If I can make one confusing day make a little more sense for someone, then I've done my job. I'm Lauren the Mortician, and I debunk death myths for a living. We talk about death, dying, and decay, whoa, or kind of whatever in the mood for. If you couldn't tell, I could talk about this stuff all day long.
Yes, you
So if you
can.
enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe and stick around for more funeral science, death myths, and we do Morbid Monday every Monday. So see you around town. Now, we've talked about some pretty heavy stuff. I think we have earned some mango kisses. So let me go get the mango. This is Mango, middle name Rita, Mango Rita.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
thank the people. Say we'll see you Monday. Kisses are this way. Oh, good. Okay, bye.
His tongue. Ay, ay, ay. I'm not a dog person. Shout out to Lauren the Mortician. I thought that was very helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, but back to the hand thing. Have y'all seen those funerals? Those it's a company. I want to say they're in St. Louis, but they do all this kind of crazy stuff with the body. So just because you've seen it a certain way, don't. How is that making? Let me see. Yep. Look. Lord have mercy. Let me pull this in. Like right off the bat, they got this dude in a box like he's a doggone Ken doll. They got this one. This dude is standing up. Hold on. Let me click on it so y'all can see. So y'all don't think I'm playing. Look at this. Look at this foolishness. Look at this. Where his hands at? Lord have mercy. This is so embarrassing. Take the wheel. Jesus. Take the wheel. See, this is exactly why aliens won't talk to us.
So we're doing this at funerals now.
Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, I gotta turn that music off. Lord have mercy. Yeah, that's exact. But I'm saying, like, look at this. Oh, Lord have mercy. When you know what's going to happen, what are they doing? Ooh, ooh, that just looks bad. Oh, man. That's a big casket, too. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Take the wheel, Jesus. Take the wheel. Okay, I just want to show y'all that. Okay, can we all admit, can we at least put that one to bed? That his hand placement was not weird? Can we at least put that one? I don't remember Mother Teresa. I don't know. Oh, man, there is a part. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Take the wheel, Jesus. Jesus, take the wheel. Take the wheel, Lord. Hold on, let me see. When was this? When did she do this one? She did this one. Let me see, because this was literally just the other day. Okay, so this one's her response to Candace is going to be forthcoming. Let's just say it like that. Yeah, I mean, a cremation. I told y'all, a cremation. The urn can be buried. You can bury the urn and have a spot. Most cemeteries have an urn garden. You can put it like it's almost a mausoleum for the urn. So there's a lot of different ways, man, to deal with that. So just to say like, oh, this should only be one way is crazy work. That's just insane. I mean, there's no other way around it. You're not going to beat those charges. It's just silly. I do want to bring this content creator in here. This one is actually a little bit way longer, and it's helps solve the case. And she's going over the evidence of Tyler Robinson. I thought it was super informative. It gives you a lot more to run with, if you will, a lot more to understand as the preliminary information. Hopefully we'll be hearing soon enough about the moving forward on this case and it being bonded over to trial. So let me go ahead and bring this in because I do want to get y'all started on this because I think you'll get a lot from it. So of course the link to this is down in the description as well. Shout out, gosh, we can't without this playing dead bodies. I mean, woo, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Let me bring this in. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Let's go.
Detective and Sergeant, current law enforcement expert witness, and private investigator. Today, we are going to go over the indictment, the charges against Tyler Robinson, who is accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Next week, he is facing a preliminary hearing in Utah to determine probable cause. And so I thought it would be good if we take a look at the charges. If you're new to the channel, glad to have you here. I would love if you would subscribe, trying to get to 1,000 members, because that gives me the ability to donate forensic genetic genealogy services to identify our over 15,500 unidentified humans across the United States, as well as donate my time and services to help police solve the hundreds of thousands of cold cases. Okay, so let's take a look at it. All right, so here is, let me just make sure. There we go. I changed my layout. Hopefully that is good. Okay, so here we go. This was uploaded, Kate Conger, Investigative Project. So thank you, Kate, for finding that and put that up here. I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure if I'm going to cover the preliminary hearing. Don't know exactly what they're going to say. But so that you and I are informed, I thought it would be good to take a look at what the indictment says. This is information. Excuse me. This is an information. Okay. So it says he is charged with, I'm not going to read the whole thing verbatim. We're just going to go over a few of the charges.
And I just wanted us to be able, again, this is the charging document. This is what they presented as reasons why Tyler J. Robinson should not be at his crib, but Tyler J. Robinson should be in jail. and hopefully sooner than later, he will be indicted and be in prison. This is the charging. So let's go ahead and go over that again.
This came from the Utah County Attorney's Office. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony. Okay, that's death penalty.
Mhm.
In violation of Utah code, that on September 10th, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. And we got subsection 3 there, because you have to meet all the elements of the crime and the statutes and the subsections of the statutes. When I talk about elements of the crime, they have to meet, and that's what they're going to have to show the probable cause at that hearing. Okay, that's what they're going to be discussing back and forth. And I heard it might take up to a week. We're not sure. Okay, so it says subsection 3 here, the defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Okay, so that's a special circumstance there. It also says conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or, pursuant to Utah code, a mandatory term of imprisonment, life without parole, or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. They've added a victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah code. Tyler James Robinson intentionally, okay, this is the document saying this is the state saying this, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Okay, so that there was more to it, I guess, than a regular killing. What can you say about that? And again, these are allegations. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty here in the United States, right? Presumption of innocence. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Okay, so that means that could be a sentencing enhancement. It also says it's a violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor. So there were children there. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Okay, so all that is count 1 with enhancements. Now we have count 2, felony discharge. So the state is going to have to meet each element. Okay, so they're going to have to meet the element of aggravated murder, possibly the enhancements. Okay, and they're going to have the elements. They're going to have to meet the elements of the crime at the probable cause hearing. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah code. And in that, on September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm, and the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Okay, so we've got this second charge.
And when you go back and listen to think about the preliminary hearing, so we're going over the charging documents, and we've already been through the preliminary hearing. That's why so much of the effort and the attention was applied to certain aspects of it and not others. That's why we didn't have mom and dad come up on the stand and talk about how they identified their son. That's why we didn't have other aspects of it, because they're trying to hit these buttons or hit these points so that this will move forward to a trial where then they will bring in the icing on the cake type of witnesses like mom and dad saying this, that, and the third, and other people that didn't actually get a chance to speak. That's why that happened. Okay.
Which is talking about a discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. We've got a victim targeting enhancement here also, and we've got the violence in the presence of the child here also. So 2 aggravating factors that they're asking for. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah code. In that, on September 10, 2025, in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense. Okay, so it could be any point in this process, all the way from hindering the investigation up to punishment. Okay, that he allegedly concealed or removed the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Now, this is interesting here because in how many cases, not too many cases that I see, people toss murder weapons all the time. People hide and conceal murder weapons all the time. And we rarely see an obstruction of justice charge for that. So that's very interesting here. They're talking about concealing or removing the firearm from the crime scene. Okay. Most crimes that we see, people are taking the murder weapon with them, right? So very interesting. Trying to think about what are they doing here with the strategy. Count 4, another count of obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony. In that, on or about September 11th, okay, so that's the next day, in Utah County, the defendant, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing. Okay, so that's 2 counts. I mean, on the prosecution side, I like that. So it's not only the weapon, it's the clothing, they're saying. He destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and that conduct constitutes an offense, would be a capital felony and a first-degree felony. Okay, so the destruction is coming in with the conduct for a capital felony. Okay, it doesn't say that in the other one, I don't believe. It does. Okay, now, why is clothing important? Gunshot residue,
Right.
trace evidence, all kinds of stuff. Things, right? Matching the description, matching videos, things like that. That's why they want the clothing, right? Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony. In violation of Utah code, in that on or about September 10, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Okay. Again, don't usually see this on the front end. We usually see it on the back end. Okay. Here we have another one, tampering with a witness. Let me know what you think in the comments, right? They are doing what's here called loading them up. Okay. Another tampering on September 11th. He attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if police question the roommate. I mean, that's pretty darn specific there. Okay. Bam, 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 bam. Okay. Count 7, violent offense. They usually say charge up, plead down. Okay. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a class A misdemeanor. In that on or about September 10th in Utah County, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years old with knowledge that a child was present and may have seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. And there's a victim targeting enhancement here on this one. I'm not sure why it's just on that one, because of, they're stating Charlie Kirk's political expression. And again, these are
I didn't understand it either.
allegations. Okay, this is the charging document. These are the things that they're going to have to show probable cause for at the hearing this coming week. Okay, here's the probable cause statement. This is how the state is saying they got to those counts, to those charges, okay?
Okay, so I just want to real quick, we're going over the charging documents again, because I do think that it will help us to better understand. Hopefully sooner than later, we're going to get the word from Judge Graff that this is going to, in fact, move on to an actual trial, which I think is the right thing to do. But I just think we should go back over this. And I thought she did an excellent job of explaining it. So shout out to her. Let's go.
So we have Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigation. So he's the police officer having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above listed offenses, submitted the following evidence in support of the filing of this information. Okay. So he must have sat down with the attorney general or the state attorney, I didn't see who signed this, and gave him enough information that satisfied the state to file the information. Okay. Many times in different states, police officer can make an arrest or they can file an information. When I came from Florida, the state attorney could file an information. We can make an arrest, they could file an information. We used to sit down and we would sit down with the state attorney, we would go over the case and they would file an information, okay? Which is different than an indictment. Okay. So here's what he says. Okay, so this is what they're going to have to prove. This is what they're going to talk about this week. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m. So think about these things if you're watching it. Take some notes. do some screenshot, and see how they're going to hold this up. Because the defense is going to come and say, nope. And the state's going to say, yep. Okay, we always have our two shows that are going on, right? Prosecution and defense. So, some of this is not indisputable. So on September 10th at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. I'm going to actually take some notes here. While speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Okay, so this is interesting. We don't have Orem police making this statement to the state attorney. We have Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations, which I'm not too familiar with Utah, but that sounds like the state agency. Here in Arizona, we have DPS. In Florida, we had FDLE. It sounds like that's the Utah one. Okay, so they're taking the primary, or they're the one relaying the information. Just an interesting point. Okay, so he was shot. Again, allegations, shot and killed speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. I think we know that, right? Okay, so that says counts 1 and 2. Okay, so count 1 and count 2 because he was shot and killed. All right, that is the 1 and the 2. Felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. We observed the serious bodily injury. We did know that he died. Now, the aggravated with the intentionally, that's the part, okay? That's the intentionally part. And that the defendant did it, okay? Because these are, again, allegations. So they're saying that covers counts 1 and 2. It's nice. They're trying to help us out here. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action 30-06 rifle nearby. Over the next, just make a note here. Because I'm going to watch it probably. Over the next approximately 33 hours, they conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Okay. DNA. I love those letters. Consistent. That's interesting. Consistent with Robinson. Okay, so we want to know what the consistency is and how they're going to prove the consistency, right? DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. Now, I'm going to mess y'all up here a little bit. We got to hop over to the other side. And we haven't gotten there yet. I recall hearing the gun was left in the woods and something. So could somebody else, let's just theorize, have in the period that the gun, I don't know exactly when the time frame that the gun was found, but these are the things that we have to start thinking, like the defense. The prosecution should think about this, the cops should think about this, and the defense should think about this. You guys should think about this. How long was that gun unattended? That maybe, could it be possible that somebody else did the shooting and Tyler just collected the gun? If that is his DNA, we don't know it's consistent. Okay, so we got to understand what consistent is. And remember, we only need probable cause. We're not beyond a reasonable doubt yet. But these are things, if you're the prosecution and you're the defense, if we're looking into this case, we got to start thinking about this. What if he picked it up, in the woods and was like, oh, cool rifle. DNA on the trigger. It doesn't say DNA on the stock, DNA on the barrel, or anything like that right now. That's where we are, okay? Just throwing that out there, things to be thinking about. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Mr. Robinson hid the gun, count 3. That is concealed or removed the firearm, okay? Discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, okay, we saw that one. And told his lover roommate to delete incriminating text messages, count 5, that's obstruction, and not talk to police, count 6. And children were present at the time of the shooting, count 7. So, let's see if they're going to give us more details here. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded by Charlie Kirk, organized an event. I'm just going to summarize a little bit here. The event was the first in a series of similar events. He's a well-known, I don't know which one you say there, conservative activist, famous for these types of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and draw the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then at noon, approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and a microphone. He began speaking to the crowd, fielding questions, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used. He allowed his questioners to approach the microphone positioned directly in front of him. And we can see that from the video. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his left and right, as well as some behind his canopy, others at various close locations. The crowd surrounded him on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees. Directly above and behind was the Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet, floor-to-ceiling glass windows, which overlooked the plaza. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. I believe that they're setting the stage, no pun intended here, for the possibly injuring other people. I think we saw that in one of the counts, okay? Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals besides Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Okay, so we've got the serious injury, we got the shooting, we've got the people, we've got the children. Okay, going through these elements of these crimes. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is pending, and that is at the time of this information. Okay, so now they're talking about surveillance. What did surveillance pick up? At the moment of the shot, the UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof, only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's sight line, maybe. I'm not familiar with the shooting corridor, but nothing was blocking it, okay? He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper, interesting choice of words, having lain on the roof. Impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Okay, do we have photos of that? Did he disturb it? What do we have to see that was the shooting position? We would look at trajectory. We would look at distance, wind, all that stuff. Was it possible? Was the gun possible? And was that preserved? Was that measured, right? Think when I'm looking at this, we know it's gravel, but I'm thinking about the beach. Think about kneeling down at the beach or kneeling down in the sand. Grass doesn't usually work that well, but if you kneel on your elbows and your knees and your feet, you're going to see the three divots maybe or whatever. Did they measure them? That would be a good question for the defense. Did they measure it? Did they take photos? Was it disturbed? Okay. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery, so it sounds like things are kind of matching up, whoever that dark clothed individual is. Discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered the campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. Okay, now we have something a biomechanical engineer might be able to look at. Okay,
And that's why, again, they went through all of that during the preliminary. That's why they focus on certain elements and not others, because they got to get him there, because they got the DNA there, and so on, and his dad or grandfather's gun there. All those kind of things all play a part. I totally get what they're doing. So let's keep this going. We're almost
the
finished, by the way.
suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's interesting that they know that at the time they wrote this information. Just throwing that out there, right? I was thinking physical deformity, physical injury, past physical injury. Okay, no, they're saying it's the rifle hidden in his pants. Okay, we have to have linkage on the defense side and the prosecution side. We have to have linkage from start to finish of how one person becomes that person and then leaves and the gun becomes that gun and all that. Okay, connecting the dots. Okay. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Do we see a weapon? Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof, carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs towards the northeast end of campus. And I know there was a lot of controversy when this happened about, what that camera showed, the getting off the roof thing. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. So where was the towel the entire time? How long between the shooting and finding the rifle? The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Now, my gun people, if the casing popped out, what do we know to do? Police your brass, okay? I see a lot of probable cause written up like this, that just because there's not a casing, it must be a this or that. It must be a pistol. It must be a this. It must be a that. What do you guys think of that, okay? Each round in the rifle, and again, I don't know how much a 30-06, I don't know how many rounds it holds, how many are left. Each round in the rifle contains an etched inscription as follows. I don't even know how to pronounce these right. Notices, bulge, OWO, what's this? Hey, fascist catch. Arrow symbols. Oh, Bella, ciao. I don't speak Italian. If you read this, you are gay, LMAO. How many rounds go in a, so they say the fired one. How many go in a 30-06? The rifle, ammunition rounds, were there fingerprints on the casings and the rounds. The rifle, ammunition rounds, oh, here we go, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, consistent. Okay, other parts of the rifle, okay, we didn't hear that before. The fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Okay, so we're moving away from, it sounds like, the accidentally picked it up in the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just theorizing, playing both sides here, okay?
Just
What if,
picked
what
it
if,
up in the
whatever.
forest.
Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. Now, just because DNA is on the casings and the rounds and the trigger does not mean beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not at beyond a reasonable doubt. We're just raising questions. We're at probable cause. Okay? Which is way less.
And that's why the preliminary hearing went like it did. It was not like a probable cause. I mean, like an actual trial. So just so we can kind of get a better understanding of it, she's just going through the charging documents, which I thought were helpful.
The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, as law enforcement continued their investigations, this is a day later, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police. On September 11th, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Can you imagine? I can't imagine. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband. It's got to be so hard that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Sometimes it's really hard to do the right thing. Again, this is allegedly, right? But even the fact that you have to suspect your own child and turn your child in, I can't imagine. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more left, becoming more pro-gay and trans-right oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a, quote, stupid venue, end quote, for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. I'm guessing thinking he would have got rid of it. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there's too much evil and the guy, meaning Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all the evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. On September 10, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, quote, drop what you're doing, comma, look under my keyboard, end quote. The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it, end quote. Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, what? You're joking, right? And it goes back and forth. He's talking about he's got to grab his rifle. Hope to keep it a secret till he died of old age. Sorry to involve you. He's saying you weren't the one that did it. I am. I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude. It's going on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's been planning it. The roommate asked how long he's been planning it. Over a week. He's trying to get to the rifle. He's wishing he had circled back and grabbed it as soon as he got to his car. He said, I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. He says something if he had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man? If this is true, right, this is allegations, this conversation, what about the guy? What about Charlie Kirk? Like you're worried about the rifle. Isn't that interesting? He's worried about his grandfather's rifle, not about the life. He's worried about the rifle. He's worried about involving his roommate. Again, allegedly, if this is true. But it was okay to kill someone with his grandfather's rifle.
Right.
But he's worried what his
Right.
dad's going to think. It's just. Then he says, remember how I was engraving bullets? Okay, there's the nexus there. The blank messages are mostly a big meme. If I see, quote, notices bulge, UWU, end quote, on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really sucks. Judging from today, I say grandpa's gun does just fine. Anyway, he talks about deleting this exchange. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. You're all I worry about. Please don't talk to the media and stay silent. So
Yes,
it wasn't
witness
a long
tampering.
drawn out plea about, he just was asked to delete the text and that, okay? You can slow this down and read it if you want to. So it said police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Count 1, aggravated murder pertains to Robinson's shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk in a manner that exposed others, in addition to Mr. Kirk, to a great risk of death. Now, I don't know if we're talking about the intentional with the engraving the bullets. Trying to remember if there was anything specific to him. They just say in a manner that exposed others. That's why they were talking about the crowd. Felony discharge. Okay, endangering those in the bullet's path. That's why they were talking about all the different areas, the glass and everything, where if the bullet went wrong, where it could go. Obstructing justice, hiding the rifle, hiding the clothing, his statements to his roommate, and the violence committed in the presence of the child. So, Jeffrey Gray, the Utah County Attorney, okay,
That's a
so
lot.
he's not the state attorney, he's the Utah County Attorney. He says, based upon the evidence received from Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, I have reason to believe that the defendant committed the offenses as charged herein. So that's what we're going to have the preliminary hearing about this week, that there's probable cause, that is probable cause. The prosecution's going to support it. The defense has to attack it. The defense is going to try to show that there was no probable cause. So it may be very interesting. They're talking about DNA. They're talking about other things.
Mhm.
Don't know how much detail they're going to get into, but I heard there's already been a lot of back and forth. So again, not sure if I'm going to cover it fully. I might not, but because of this, I thought we would read this here. Hopefully you find this interesting. If so, I would love a subscribe. Again, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers minimum so that we can do the work to identify these unknown humans and solve crime and solve cases just like this. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Please feel free to put your comments below and let me know what you think. Let me know what you've heard, because I really haven't been following this. Okay, see you later.
Growing up,
Okay.
if there was one group of people I remember getting made
Hold on,
fun of
shut
quite a
up.
bit,
There we go. Okay, shout out to wait, I gotta make sure I got the proper name of it. I messed it up that quickly. Shout out to Help Me Solve Crimes. I appreciate her. I just wanted somebody to go back over the charging documents. I thought this was good, and I'm glad that she did that. The link down is to her channels down in the description. So please go check it out. Make sure that we're informed. We're not just getting our information from yahoos like me or other ones that don't know what they're talking about, but rather, look at the actual information that we have available to us, and then you can make a good decision from there. So I really appreciate it. Today is Monday. This is my Monday morning meetup. I plan to do a stream tomorrow, so we'll make sure we do that. I'll let you know ahead of time. Make sure you're up to speed so y'all can jump in and tap in with us. Thank y'all so much for July. We had a lot of fun last month. A lot of good guests came through, and this month we'll probably do something similar to that. So I want to say thank y'all so much to every last one of y'all. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to, of course, the members of the channel. Thank you so much for supporting all the various and sundry ways that y'all do, whether it be just tapping in, being a part of the best live channel on the internet, dropping those green hearts, or whatever you do. I really want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. We have a lot going on over here at Whitaker Park, so hopefully you all have a great day as well planned. I'm going to get ready to bug out of here, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, sorry. I'm going to bug out of here, but I will be back on tomorrow. I do have a video dropping, I think, at lunchtime today. So I'd love for y'all to check that out as well. So do me a favor, good people. Have an awesome, tomorrow afternoon. I'm not going to, I don't want to start competing with other people's morning shows, because sometimes that gets kind of hectic. And I might be a guest on the morning show. So no, I'm going to be doing mine tomorrow afternoon. I do appreciate y'all. Thank you so much again. Everybody have a fantastic Monday, and I'll see you real soon. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.